Loud. Hello, my name is Michael Hanley. I am about to start the monthly DC Buzz. I am here with Siobhan Ingram. Siobhan Ingram, do you agree to be recorded for the purposes of this being used for later classes and in perpetuity as long as I hold the link?
I
Say yes.
suppose since you asked, yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I'll get you to sign the form later. Please be aware,
Okay.
everybody, I'm doing this on recording because I realized I had boo-booed and did not the talent release to our guest on here. Someone's saying, hang on a second. Bear with. I made the password all caps. I have the feeling people are trying to get in, but what can I say?
I copy and paste it always.
Yeah, that's what I have set up. I make sure it's all caps because Zoom has gotten very security conscious on a lot of things. So anyway, people are filtering in. So without further ado, please be aware of anyone who is needing to when we open for questions and answers, if we do open the microphone, we will be recording your voice. But to make it easy on everybody, I'm just going to basically field questions through the chat. So as we go along, Siobhan and I will be discussing about various topics on here that you may have questions on. Please feel free to go ahead and type any comments or questions in the chat. Like a regular live stream, I will check the comments from time to time, see if there's any questions. If you have something really specific you want to ask and you want to make sure I see that it is a definite question, the way to stand out from everything is type a Q and put a colon after it, and that indicates it is a question, and usually those are the things you can find a lot faster. So without further ado, I want to welcome the valedictorian of the May 2022 class, a person I am proud to call my friend, who has gone through the pitfalls, the promises, the adventure that is graduating from a month-to-month online program. Again, I'm going to say it again, the valedictorian of the May class, Siobhan Ingram. Yay! I'm the only one that can applaud for you.
So it's so awkward because you would expect like applause and you just hear nothing except just thump, 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 thump.
This is why I need to get a Rodecaster Pro too. But you convinced my wife that I need one. Thank you. And I've been on recording.
I'll get right on that. Yep.
Thank you. So here's the scenario we're going to be doing tonight. We're going to be doing this a little unusual because normally a lot of times you'll come to these sessions when it's a guest speaker and it's somebody who's been out there working for a few years, they're running their production company, doing all this stuff. But I felt it was important to kind of start getting people aware of the fact that you need to start things a little bit early in your career, in your schooling career, as you're getting ready to graduate. But also there needs to definitely be a little bit of that kind of mindset of, why do I want to do this? So as Siobhan and I were talking about things, Siobhan was telling me about how early she had started thinking about visual storytelling. So what I'd like to do is turn over to Siobhan and give us a little bit of your background and why you are, what was that mental malaise that made you want to do this kind of industry?
So I don't know, it kind of goes back to, and this sounds like cheesy, but like when I was a kid, but like legitimately, like when I was a like 10 or 12-year-old, I was very infatuated with film and like how people made movies and how all of that was put together. And so, of course, like I had very supportive parents. So anytime I had a new hobby or anything like that, my dad would do whatever he could in order to fuel that new hobby. And so he found, I don't know if everybody remembers them, but the little flip cameras that had like the USB flipping out from the bottom. And it just had like a record button and you could zoom in by touching this like little like plus button or like zoom out by hitting minus. And I would just start filming with that. Like I would do anything. I would do little skits with my brother. There's unfortunately all of this is on YouTube, and I will never tell you where you can find it on YouTube. But I would just like edit these little videos. And at the time, it was, I did whatever I could to find editing software. And I had like an Acer laptop. And so I would do my best to try and like figure out how to edit videos. And then after I got into high school, I kind of, took a break from doing that because I really dove into theater and like live production. So I got a lot of hands-on experience with being like student director and like basically all the technical aspects of theater. And so I loved production, I loved video editing, I loved all that kind of stuff. And I had met one of my very good friends, Jonathan, and he had the same love for cinematography, film, all of that kind of stuff. And both of us created a YouTube channel. And we hit the ground running with that, like genuinely hit the ground running. We had an upload day that we were going to go every week. We made sure that we branded ourselves correctly. We made sure that we engaged with our audience, tried to figure out, what kind of videos to do. And that was really fun. There was a stint where we were like, we're going to be YouTube famous. Like this is going to be our job. That's
And this was in high school.
Yes, it was like a year after high school.
Okay.
But it's not a smart idea to go chasing like, we're going to be famous for being so funny and blah, 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 when our quality was honestly like garbage. I say garbage now because like I have better cameras and better knowledge and everything else. But we really tried to do what we could to get the correct microphone or like upgrade the sound in some way, upgrade the lighting in some way, but we had no actual knowledge of like how to craft a shot perfectly. So it'd be like this giant photo like light with just a light bulb that you screw in that's like the size of your head. And like we would do whatever we could with that. And then basically, of course, life got busy. It was just a hobby at the time. I had kind of still done video editing and like creating little videos on my own that were just going to go nowhere. I was very infatuated with time lapses and trying to make them look smooth and nice and what would be good on a time lapse. And the one thing that I would always do is get a time lapse of the sun rising in different spots. Whether it was over like a body of water, over like, a horizon of trees, like whatever it was. And I would just do that for a while, and I would do it in my spare time, and I'd wake up super early on my days off from work. And mind you, I have no idea why I didn't go to school for this sooner, but I was under the impression that I could not create a career out of this. It had to be like, oh, I should go for human resources. And so I took a couple of classes at community college, and it was just stuff that never really resonated with me. And it, quite honestly, the turning point for me and the push that I got was when I started working at a particular job where people who were twice my age, if not older, were doing the same job as me, getting paid the same, like, I think it was like $12.50 I got paid. And it had just been like, I wasn't where I wanted to be. I wasn't happy. I was always, holy crap. I was always dreading work, and I was sick of it. So I was like, okay. And I was literally in the parking lot about to go into my job. And I was looking up online film schools because I was currently located in Eau Claire, Wisconsin. And if anybody's ever been to Eau Claire, you might have driven past it, honestly, and not even realized. But there's nothing film related, no film schools, anything that I thought would be conducive to continuing my education the way I wanted. And I was just looking at like online film schools because I'm like, I could do online. Like I could definitely do that. Like I could, still have a job and everything else. And I found Full Sail, and it was like that night or the night, like a week later, maybe. And I just called and I was like wanting more information. And by the end of the phone call, I was enrolled. And I'm really glad that I did online school one, because it was super flexible and everything else, but two, this was January of 2020. And so by the time March came around, I heard all of my friends that were going to the local school, and they're like, oh my gosh, I have to do online. Like, I'm so not prepared for this. And I remember I was in history of motion picture arts, that class. And there was just a notification that said, you guys are all online, nothing changes. And I'm like, dang. But
Oh yeah, nothing changed on your end. Before you get too far into full sail, let me back up to one thing real fast.
yeah.
How long was it between you graduated from high school and years wise graduated from high school to actually starting in full sail? How long of a gap was that?
About 6 years.
About 6 years, because there are people that basically are like, I must go right into school right after high school.
Oh my gosh, no, absolutely not. I am such a big advocate for taking off time after high school and then jumping into college. Like, figure out exactly what you want to do. And like, also, there's nothing wrong with like taking a year off, as long as you're still determined and you're kind of focused towards like, continuing your education. But like, you just got through 12 years of school, if not more, if we're talking like even younger, when you're like a kid and your parents like threw you into this class and you're like, who are all these other little people? But like, definitely make sure it's something that you want to do, like that you genuinely want to do.
And that's the trick that I think where we're going with the thing with full sail is more the DCBS degree than full sail is one of the things I've noticed about the students that really seem to kind of really succeed here are the ones that came in kind of knowing what they wanted to do. But my big thing on here is what was it that right before you went into here, you said that you had started doing plays. Somebody asked a question that about the plays, if they were this was in high school, if they were original or reenacted. So were these like professional plays that have been edited for high school kind of thing, like the drama arts thing, where people writing original plays? Did you write any?
I kind of got both. As far as like the plays that were done each year, we did two. We would do one in the fall, one in the spring. And it was like Charlotte's Web, The Man Who Came to Dinner, The 13th Chair. Like, we would do like dramas and like whimsical. We did James and the Giant Peach, Pinocchio, all that kind of stuff. So as far as like the big plays that were going on, it was all like, plays everybody knew. I was in a class called Actors Studio, which at the end of that class, we would create basically an entire show for one night. And it was just all of these scenes that everybody had created. They had like wrote monologues. People had made like funny skits and everything else. And at the end of that like semester, there was this like big production where it was just like all student created stuff, like all originals.
Okay, so basically,
and I took that class twice.
Okay, so basically it was a combination of stuff that was, you got exposure to professional stuff that was kind of edited for high school, but also there was the encouragement for students to write their own material. Okay, cool. So I kind of wanted a little bit of the background, because this is the trick that I think coming in, a lot of people have to look back and say, hey, I did that stuff, because a lot of people sometimes don't realize they do have some of the background in visual storytelling. So you knew it, you were 6 years in history of motion picture arts, you heard there was COVID, you were happy you were doing online. Okay, so how deeply focused were you on, now we're gonna go through what we're heading towards graduation. How much did you have your eyes on the prize? When did you have that focus of, at what point was it, I'm trying to think of how to word this properly so I'm not leading the witness. What was the point in your DCBS career that you went, wow, I really can do this as a job. Now I need to start thinking about my steps to do that. Was there like one kind of defining moment?
I mean, I'm not really sure, because like, that's kind of a loaded question.
You're welcome.
I mean, like, what was there like, are you asking like, was there a specific class or a specific moment?
Yes. Was there a specific moment or a specific class that kind of turned that light bulb of saying, yeah, I need to be doing stuff to get ready to go out and do this? And also the, yes, I can go out and do this. You know, that
I mean,
whole,
it was probably a combination of two classes. So like, I would not necessarily say composition and visual design, because that class was very like, it kind of like, you know, shook my foundation. I'm like, I'm not sure I know what I'm talking about. But actually filming the first short film, was that in your class? The first, like, I'm
I
not.
want, yeah, I want you to say this was not a pitch for you to compliment my class, but yes, the first short
It
film
wasn't because
narrative is FOP one. The first project would be portfolio one with the AV script. So yeah, if this was past CVD, then yes, it would have been my class. And thank you, but I wasn't fishing for that.
no. Well, that, and also like the first class that I had that was like past the first 4 months. So when the first class that I went into that was my degree program specific,
Which would have been
where
intro to film
like,
and video.
correct, yes.
Okay.
Um, probably a combination of those two classes because, oh no, my camera went away.
You did not plug in your camera?
No. Okay, remember the conversation that we had about this camera overheating?
Oh, you've got to change the setting on it. Okay, well, we
Whoa,
can
I
still
didn't know
keep
that.
we can still keep going with Siobhan, even though the technical difficulties, because she is a digital cinematographer and she took my class about being able to MacGyver things. So
I have
anyway,
a backup.
let's keep talking as you go along. Can you still answer questions while you're MacGyvering things?
Yes.
Okay, so you're in these classes and both of these are at the associates level. At what point were you like thinking about, okay, there we go, and still looks good? So
It's a
all
little
right,
yellow.
yeah, so sorry about that. Okay, let's see, where was I on this one? Okay, so you're going through your courses. How much stuff of your classes did you keep as portfolio material?
Um, like if I went off of like percentage based, um, at least 90% of it.
Okay.
Like most everything that I had from CBD on, so composition and visual design on, I've used. But anything that I did not, yeah. So basically everything that we got with the film package. I actually used some stuff before that as well. Actually, yeah. So probably about 90% of everything that I worked on.
Okay, and your
Just about.
camera that you had for the degree was which one?
The Sony FS5.
Okay, so you had the FS5, which was the camera prior to the one that students are getting now, which is the FX6. And just a small plug for that camera. How much do you still love that camera?
Oh, she's my baby. I love it so much. I love to brag to people that like, oh yeah, I have a better camera than you. And they're like, I have a Canon, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, you should see my camera. It's like a shoebox.
And this is the FS5. So this is the
Yeah.
one thing. And you're still doing stuff with it, even though you got it in month 10 of your program. It's a
Mhm.
29-month program, and now you graduated 5 months ago,
Yes.
and she's still working good for you.
Oh, she's great. I haven't
Okay.
named her. I should name her.
You haven't named her? That's just
I
wrong.
know. I'm sorry. It's disrespectful.
You named your 7A, you named your A74.
Yeah. Actually.
So, all right. So when at the point you were going through your degree, did you get in contact or did you get contacted by career development?
No, I got contacted pretty early on. Like, I don't know. I feel it was like at the beginning of, I don't know, probably like February or March. I feel like they reached out to me. Actually,
Of what
no,
year?
probably sooner. This year.
Okay, of this
So,
year. So this would
probably
have
in the
been
last
about,
like 5 months.
okay, so 5 months before your graduation, they were reaching out. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
cool. All right, so let's get into some of the things that were the preparation. Well, let's take you now to those times career development's contacting you. You're already thinking about doing the job market. What kind of positives, negatives, pitfalls did you go through when you first started researching what you could actually do with a digital cinematography degree? You may feel free to talk about the horrors.
Okay, so one big thing that was kind of like, it felt like somebody just took the rug out from under me, um, was the fact that my geographical location is extremely important. It's not 100% necessary, but like where I'm living, if I want, so I live in Wisconsin. I kind of over on the east side of Wisconsin, not Milwaukee. Otherwise, I'd have just a plethora of jobs at my disposal. But like my geographical location was extremely important in me getting a job, because one thing that I figured out like very quickly is there are a lot of remote positions, but when you think about the competition that you have in your area for somebody that, a job wants in person, you're going to be dealing with people in your area or people willing to drive to your area. But with a remote position, first of all, the possibilities are endless. You can work anywhere and do anything. Like I could be a video editor, I could be a cinematographer, I could be, just about anything. Like there are a lot of companies that are like, remote cinematographer, heavy travel. Like they'll fly you all over the place. But your competition is rough because you're dealing with everybody anywhere, not just where you live. And so my focus was, okay, I'm in Wisconsin. There's going to be significantly less people physically here applying to this job. So I was just applying for all the places around, like all the connecting cities, everything, to see what I could get. My issue is I saw video editor needed, at this place. And I was like, I'm a video editor and that place is right next to the grocery store I always go to. Apply. And I gave off everything. And then they called me back and I walked in to the interview. And I realized that this was an extremely political outfit. And mind you, this was February before I graduated. So I was trying to hit the ground running, getting a job before graduation. But I walk into this place and I'm like, I'm going to be a video editor. This is going to be great. It's just like, 20 minutes from my house. Awesome. And it's this political place. And I'm not going one way or the other. I'm just not a very political person. And if anybody knows anything about politics, they know that it is not nice. So I just kind of jumped in and I was like, well, I need something in the industry. I need some kind of experience. So I just jumped in anyway. And
okay, so let me ask this. Did they match your political affiliations or did you just basically go, eh? Or are they completely opposite?
it was very opposite.
Okay. So a lot of people sometimes would have problems with doing that one, but you looked at it as just a gig, which I am thinking as a positive on here, because that is the trick. Is basically, this is the one thing why I wanted to say on that one is a lot of jobs sometimes are going to be conviction based, are going to be, what am I going to do? What am I going to do on this one here? But I look at it to where you can do something even like a faith-based film, or you could do something like a political film, or even something that's non-denominational. And as long as your objective is the experience, this is experience in the industry. So that's how you were looking at it also, kind of?
Yeah, I kind of figured, whatever I'm doing on screen, I can, do it for them and then, you know, log out at the end of the day and go home and just like walk
Okay.
away with the experience. In my personal experience, it's easier said than done. Um, because it got to a certain point where what I cared about and what I cared about doing on my job, it did not align with what they cared about because these were just I mean, I did get a lot of experience. Let's start there. I did get a lot of experience with Photoshop, Premiere Pro, editing really fast, color correcting really fast, and then dealing with like recording live, like streaming interviews with people that are like live in studio and then also in Zoom and everything else. But there was zero creativity involved. It was you're editing this guy talking about this thing to a camera and he's going to have a lot of big feelings about it and you have to go, and it was almost like I was doing journalism work too, where I would have to go and find articles that were mentioned and just like put them on the screen as like graphics, just like zooming in, and it was very simplistic work. It was, no creativity involved, and it just wasn't the kind of stuff that I wanted to see. Like it was some pretty hateful stuff that I was editing, which was like,
So eventually you had to take the personal value and go, I'm out of here.
right.
Yeah.
I got about 4 months of experience out of that. And I'm like, okay, I can't do this anymore. Like,
Right.
I just got to find something different.
Right, because I'm looking at the question on here. It's the reason I mentioned it is a lot of people won't do it to begin with at all. They'll look at it and go, it's political based, it's that kind of stuff. And sometimes when you're going in, you're doing stuff that is simple editing, Photoshop, different work that doesn't actually affect your policies because you probably wouldn't have seen any of it until they started getting you more and more involved. So it was when you discovered just how bad it was is when you walked out the door, correct?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
It was, it was just kind of like draining. And I could do it for a while and like they paid pretty well. And like my coworkers were really fun too. They were very nice and supportive. And let me tell you, one thing that nobody prepared me for, this is sort of off topic. Whenever you have like an office job and like you go to an office, you got to be there at 8 and then you leave at like 4:30 every day. Those office people love bringing food in. They just love to bring food in. The amount of times we had cake in 4 months, I don't even know if everybody had a birthday or if they were just like, it's Friday.
So that you do not want to know what kind of, I walked away with a dozen pickles off of a shoot that went on at Full Sail that was going on because they were basically going, hey, do you want a sub? And they're putting the pickles away and they're like, do you want a pickle? Oh, I love pickles. Oh, here, take the whole 24 of them. So no, the reason I did it is Andrea had a very good question here about separating personal values. And at a certain point, you just can't. So, but you can't let your preconceived notions, is my opinion, stop you from at least looking at a job. Would you agree with that, Siobhan?
I wholeheartedly agree with that. Well, and the other thing that it was kind of a combination of like, I can't do this anymore, and this is starting to affect my love for video editing and all of this kind of stuff, and that's not worth the gamble to me. Like, I don't want to get spiteful about what I do. So like, I'm going to ditch this job in order to preserve this passion that I have for visual storytelling, rather than getting spiteful and being like, oh, I'm just a cog in the machine. Like, I'm just going to like, edit videos all the time. And now I just hate doing it because I edited this video of this guy screaming about whatever for 4 months straight, which I legitimately did.
When you left this job, were you still in Full Sail, or had you graduated while you were still at this job? The one you walked away from. Were you still in school?
Yes. I had put my 2 weeks in with the first week being I was there, and then the second week I had requested it off months ago because of graduation. So that's how it lined up. Is I put my 2 weeks in, and I said, I'm so sorry that the second week I have scheduled off, but I have another job.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so basically, you had a job before you graduated that you would have been able to be ready to go, got the diploma, I'm employed, ready to go, but because of what was going on with it and literally sapping your love of your industry, you walked away at graduation. Let's see. I got a question coming up here. I'll answer it in a little bit. Basically, what I wanted to ask you was that meant that you came down for graduation knowing that you're walking unemployed.
Technically, no.
Okay.
Technically, I was not unemployed at any point because I had accepted a job offer and I was starting the Monday after I had gotten back from graduation.
Okay.
So I flew back that Sunday, and then that Monday I started my new job.
Okay. So did you try to find the new job when you put your notice in? How did you make the transition from this job that was basically just sapping the life out of you to another job while you were getting ready for graduation? How did you do that? How did you pull off getting out of this job, setting up for another job, and getting ready to graduate? Tell us your miracle.
Okay, what had happened? It was a little okay. I had really wanted out. My boss was very nice. She was literally my age, and she was like the creative director. And she mentioned having a job before and like, being in the area. And I was like, okay. And so I did a little bit of digging, and I saw that on her LinkedIn, it had where she worked before she worked at that place. And I was like, oh, okay, what is that? And it was a social media management company. And I was like, okay. So I looked them up on Indeed, and they were hiring for a video editor / social media account leader. And I was like, it wouldn't hurt. I mean, they hired my former boss, so I mean, and she's pretty big into film and everything else. She has a degree in that and photojournalism and all that kind of stuff. So I had applied for the job that she had before she worked at that current political place, and I ended up getting it.
So basically what you did was you kind of used LinkedIn and reverse engineered it a little bit. You'd been already connected to somebody that you knew, and you looked at the place that she had been talking about before that she worked at. Okay.
Yeah, because she never said it by name.
Right.
She just said like the place I worked at before this, and she would like talk very highly of it and said that she really liked it, and she was sad to leave, and she would go on photo shoots and have clients, and I'm like, it sounds like a good time.
Yeah. And
so
that's kind of, yeah,
it was kind of like an episode of Catfish.
No, I wouldn't call it that way because it basically is doing research. Here was something that basically is kind of a collaboration thing. I'm going to put a positive spin on it now, like I do. She met somebody in the industry, talked positively about a company, but never really said a name because she's working at a new company now, this person that you met. So of course she's not at the company going to go, oh, well, it was this name on this street and here and that. But this is what the purpose of LinkedIn and Indeed and all these things out there that people don't realize is you can reverse engineer. You can reverse engineer basically kind of when you meet somebody and go, hey, this was great. Let me look this up. Let me look up Indeed. Let me look up all this. I have a feeling the camera's coming back. For all those that want to know a secret, there is a setting on these cameras for overheating that is either the standard or the high setting. You need to set it to high. An A7 IV doesn't have a fan like an FX3. I love my camera. Anyway, So, okay. Can you still hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Not asking. Okay. So, welcome back. Don't you love how these rehearsals just happen right off the bat? The one thing the film industry, I love the quote from Orson Welles. The one thing the industry of filmmaking doesn't have is an R&D department. Experimental filmmaking is basically roll camera. Yeah. So this is the one thing I wanted to get at. You did the steps of basically finding out from the person what was going on with that. But what kind of stuff did you get any prior to getting these jobs? How much kind of advice did you get from career development? What were the kind of things that maybe that they helped you out a little bit as you were going forward for doing this? Was there anything that basically was what they were bringing in, or how much was it basically you putting the nose to the grindstone, balance, that kind of thing?
I relied extremely heavily on career development. Just because, first of all, they're so nice and friendly. And like, if you're having a bad day, just call them. And I so mean that. They're so nice. But they helped me out by looking at my website and kind of like helping me, figure out where I could, tweak it further and everything else. And I had already gone through, was it web design? I think that class.
Yeah.
And it was just like an extra set of eyes. And they gave me feedback that I, didn't think about. And like my classmates didn't give me feedback on, when I was in the class posting to discussion boards. And it was a lot less stressful because there was no grade that relied on it. It was just, this is a tool that I need, refining. And they also helped me out quite a bit with my resume. And I would just send it back and forth to them, and they would, first look at the formatting, and then they would look at the wording of everything. And, it was like every detail of it, they would just kind of comb over and look at. And it was just extremely helpful. Like, so like that is, I still use them. I called them like a couple of weeks ago. No, like last week or like 2 weeks ago. Cause I needed a little bit of help, and it's such a good resource. And I feel like people just don't quite understand how good of a resource they are. They are amazing. Like, they're so good. But yeah, I was started using them probably in about February, maybe March, and then just on, I would use them like.
So started using February, found the gig just shortly after that. And now, how much of the stuff with you doing your research did it help you having all this under your belt for finding this company you're with, right? That you're mentioning that you started on Monday after you graduated. Is that the company you're with right now?
Correct. Yes.
Okay. So basically you kind of started the process, have them review it, found a job, took the job, even though you weren't quite sure it's going to mesh with your sensibilities and values, discovered it didn't, but did the work to find another job before you basically were going to be unemployed. And then now we're working with this company, and now we still have the time because it is, we got about another 20 minutes, and I do want to make sure we do get some questions in here. You're working now with what kind of company? What do they do?
They're a social media management company.
Social media.
Yeah.
The lovely phrase that we all love and hate at the same time. I'm giving my own personal bias. But, however, one of the things that we've talked about on here is the fact that you've been dealing with clients.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Yeah, go ahead.
I have over 9 clients.
Okay. So at one time you're dealing with 9 clients. Can you talk a little bit about some of the positive side of dealing with the clients and what it is that a client comes to you for? Even though you work for this company, you're working with each individual company that is hired. So basically, if I got it correctly to kind of lead this in, it's a social media company. So different corporations, different companies, different businesses are coming to them saying, we need something social media based. So they're coming in and looking to your company, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So how is it that how are you given the client? How are you given the business to work on? What do they do to assign you? Is it
Um,
basically,
it's just like either somebody has recently quit and there's a transfer of clients. We get a new client and you're on it with somebody else. So one person is doing the posting, another person is doing the creative work. Or it's basically like, how many hours do you want a week? Okay, we're going to give you this many clients based on that many hours. So
uh,
I'm not going to go in
okay,
depth about how it works.
right. But what I'm getting at on here, and that's what I was after, was you're not picking the client. You're being
No.
told this is the person you must work with. So you're going in cold. You didn't reach out to these people. Your company said these are the ones you're working with. Okay, what was that like when you first had to deal with, I didn't contact you. I'm being told I need to make your campaign. What was that like when you first encountered that?
I mean, it's frustrating because I the clients, okay, so it's local around here. So I'm not talking like, oh yeah, there's this soda company and like this, all this. It's like, here's an engineering firm. Make something for social media with that. Or like, here's an automation company. We want to be trending. Like it's not like fun clients for one. I have like maybe two or three that are like kind of fun and I can like put a positive twist on it. But for the most part, it's pretty challenging because like one day, like for instance, this past Monday, I was told by one of the supervisors or higher ups, oh, you're getting a new client. And I'm like, oh, who is it? And they're like, this health place. And I'm like, okay, nifty. Um, so it's kind of challenging because it's not what I expected. Whenever people said like clients, I expected a little bit more fun, like, oh, here's this bakery, like we want you to photograph these muffins and make them look nice, or like make a cool commercial with muffins. It's like really challenging. But we have a client that is insurance, just insurance. How am I supposed to create anything for that? Like social media based. And like there's certain things that you just gotta like kind of grin and bear it when like the automation company says they want to be trending.
Now, by
Because
trending, it means that they want a number of views,
yes.
not that they
Hmm.
want to be trendy like a creative style. They're coming to you and saying, give me something that's going to get me numbers and views on like Instagram or YouTube.
Yeah, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube. Some people have Twitter. I thought that died in 2009, to be honest, but anyway.
So that's one of the biggest things. And where I looked at it as the horror story is these people are coming in and they don't have a clue what they want. And they're expecting you're going to have all the answers.
Yes, it is nice because there are some clients that are like, I want this and I want it to look like this. And can you do this? And their feedback is very constructive and it works really well. There's other clients that are like, well, I don't know. What do you think? And I'm like, I don't know the first thing about like engineering or automation. I'm the person with the camera. Like I can help you craft an idea if you kind of like want to spitball something. But there's a lot of clients that are like, yeah, I need you to create this. Like I just want something that's like this. And it's uber frustrating.
The first one I ever saw from you that you were showing me, was it like reptile container lids or something? Or the
Yeah,
contain? Yeah. Okay.
the V18 Vision lid.
So this company, the first horror story she told me about was this company that wanted to look snazzy and trendy and everything, showing how to use these lids that went on these reptile cages.
Yeah,
And
like
we're
little
expect
reptile boxes.
yeah, on there. So that is challenging, but as the cinematographer, as the editor, where do you feel you've had to step up more a little bit as a cinematographer, or as an editor, or has it been both have been challenging? Or where do you think has been able to you've been able to make your mark a little bit more with these clients where they've gone, they like what they have, the camera, the editing, both? Where I'm trying to basically try and get a little bit of sense of what keeps you going with these clients, what keeps you going.
I would say it's more along the lines of like video editing. Like a lot of people will really enjoy when I do like, you know, like really cool transitions where they zoom in and out, you know, graphics. Basically, some of the clients just go nutty for the simplest stuff, and I think it's just precious. Like when I edit something to the beat of a song and they're like, "Oh, change with the beat." And I'm like, "That was intentional. Thank you." Yeah, that's pretty much it. Whenever like clients are like, "Oh my gosh, like this it looks so cool. Like I didn't think that you'd be able to do something like that." That's nice. I like that.
Yeah. So basically what you're saying is you seem to have a little bit more creativity to get away with things with the camera as long as you make it look good in the edit, is what it sounds like on some stuff. Or how heavy are they looking at each image?
So the whole cinematography I would say is pretty much non-existent at this job. Just because they give you a DSLR like Canon camera and they say go do something, and you kind of have to come up with the idea and just, you know, shoot whatever. And a lot of times you'll have somebody else with you who's helping you on this shoot, and so you have both of the cameras, and no matter how hard I try, every time I will set up both cameras to be the same because it's the same camera. I want the same settings for the same scene. You can just zoom in and out and, you know, kind of adjust slightly. But as far as like, you know, like shutter speed, are we doing 60 frames a second? Or like all that kind of stuff, I make sure that it matches. The other person, more often than not, will take it upon themselves to switch some of the settings up. And so we'll have different white balances and, you know, different stuff. So my focus is less on the cinematography, and more on the video editing, because often also there are clients that will film something on their phone and then send it to us and say, "Can you edit this?" And I'm like, "Okay."
So that's what I wanted to finish up on, is you are at the mercy on the horror story that really I find as being the most horrific thing. You are at the mercy of a company that has a number of different people that are taking care of clients that have to work together. And I believe a few of them are self-taught.
I'm the only one there with a cinematography degree, anything close to a film or cinematography degree at all. Everybody else is communications, marketing. There's one girl that has like a motion graphics something degree. So she's really good at After Effects, but she's not so good with a camera. There's people that have photography degrees, but nobody has a digital cinematography degree or a film degree at all. And quite a few of the people there will do everything in their power not to use Adobe products. So Premiere Pro, Photoshop, anything like that. A lot of them will use Lightroom, and that's about it. And they'll try and find another program such as CapCut. Oh God, to edit their videos. So yeah, it's a little frustrating.
And this is one of the things why I wanted to bring this up at the end here, is this is a reality going out there. Is this not just this you, because as you said, you're working with a local company who has people that come from different backgrounds, but the bottom line is you still, as the person that is in doing this, has to figure out a way of dealing with the client, dealing with the industry, dealing with what the company is the client is doing, dealing with other people that are looking at it from a different viewpoint as you. And basically what I want to know is, how do you keep your sanity?
Um,
What are the things that keep
can
you
you?
going besides me?
So I was gonna say, can you keep something that you never had? Sanity. No, I feel like the thing that's keeping me going is just I don't know. I'm kind of looking at this like I looked at the first job where it's experience and you know, I don't know. I'm looking for another job. I'm gonna be just totally blunt. Like
Go ahead.
I
Why?
guess because this is not the industry. This is not what I wanted to be in. And I'm not like, like a little kid like kicking and screaming, like, I don't want this. It's like, no, I'm making social media videos. So it's these quick, snappy, like 15-second to 30-second little like, put a trending song on it and make sure that there's a couple of flashy graphics and oh, don't use cross dissolves because we don't like cross dissolves. It's like the rules, like there's no industry standard being followed. We don't like sign releases. Like anytime I bring up any of this stuff, people are like, oh, I don't know anything about that. And I'm like, okay. So this is more industry adjacent in the fact that I am editing videos and I do have a camera, but it's not, it kind of sucks.
And this is a good part to turn over to questions because the biggest thing I wanted to show is that it's okay to get to a point with a job and realize that it's not, it doesn't work out, that there are companies that even though you're being hired for it, that sometimes you have to step back and go, is it them or is it me? What's going on with this? What's happening with that? And this is what has to happen is you have to have sometimes a thick skin, but also self-confidence to basically know when is it, because that was the important thing that you just said right there. It's not that you're whining. And that's the trick. It's recognizing that you're not whining. It's recognizing that there are standards. And that's the biggest thing. I think that all of this stuff, the things I want to take away from here is the idea that there's a difference between, the job, paycheck, that kind of thing there. Even though you're looking for another place, there are still positives you still have with different clients, different things, and you are still getting experience from all of these things you're doing. Would you agree?
Yeah, I would say yeah. Like
Okay.
we use a whole bunch of different lenses, so I'm getting a little bit of hands-on experience using different lenses, and just kind of, I guess, seeing the different sides of, well, and the other thing is like marketing. Like everybody loves somebody that can do just slightly a little tiny amount of marketing now.
So basically, I'm going to go with, we may have a couple questions that may want to be asked off archive. So I want to kind of give that opportunity also. But we do have one that I'm going to kind of rephrase a little bit because do you want to work on movies? It seems like you're in a job that just doesn't value your skills. So I'm going to ask you the loaded question off of that one. What would you love to be doing right now? What is the one thing that you would love to be doing as part of your graduation, your career? What is your next goal?
I would love to, I suppose I want to edit something. I love editing and I also love like nature, like going out and filming nature. I absolutely love that and making it look gorgeous. I would love to somehow combine the two, like edit, I mean, nature shows or nature documentaries or go out and film them or something like that. I've always had a big draw to want to do that. For the time being, I just want to to bring it down to a more of a realistic kind of scale. I suppose one thing that I would love, first of all, is more money because that's another huge thing that this job is underpaying me, just flat out underpaying me. But also like edit something that is meaningful and work for a company that not only recognizes that I have skills, but values them and values my own opinion about whatever I might be working on.
Yeah,
So
and
yeah.
that's the trick with being right out of film school, because I'm going to say this point blank. The big reason why I thought about this also when we were talking about it is they look at you as a newbie because you're the college kid.
That's a huge thing. The degree like is not enough for people. Like the degree is just not enough. They want to see a demo reel and they want to see something that looks impressive. Like that is a huge thing and a huge roadblock that I'm dealing with right now, like trying to kind of get out of this job and find a different company. And like a huge thing that I feel like I'm like kind of sponsored by like the the career development, but they're a huge resource. They told me, you know, to revamp my resume and have it, you know, video editor like focused and have it project based rather than job based because, you know, whatever. And they said I could use stuff from school to put on there, which was great. And like, you know, make a demo reel that like looks impressive and shows off what you can do with your editing. And like, it doesn't have to be your footage. It just needs to be raw footage that you have the rights to use and edit it. And like, it's just, it's frustrating because like nobody respects the degree.
Not nobody where you're at right now.
Right.
And that is the biggest horror is you're going to feel like people are going to look at you as just a college student, not as a cinematographer. And that's the biggest frustration to get. But I have got to say, I agree with the demo reel. I am going to point blank say that you need to always go out there and get footage, do stuff. When she was talking about the nature material, it's like, what? So my good friend, Siobhan, I am coming to see you at the beginning of November. And what are we working on when I get there?
My demo reel.
We are going out with an FX3 and an A7 IV, and we are doing a shoot off and have fun. Oh yeah, she owns a gimbal. She's up on me on a couple pieces of gear, and this is my former student. I'm going to give this as a personal one. I don't mind on record. This is somebody that focuses on her career and going forward, what she wants to do. She actually messaged me and said, I want to show you a surprise. And she turns on her camera and there she's holding the gimbal. And I'm just like, I looked at her and just went, I hate you. I'm coming to visit you and we're going out shooting. So that's the biggest thing that I'm going to take away on the end here before a couple more questions is keep working on the demo reel, keep working on your shoot, keep thinking about the passive income, that kind of stuff. Don't just do a job. And you can agree or disagree with me, Siobhan, on this. Don't just do a job to do a job. Do a job that's you're always thinking about, how can I use this to promote myself? What do you think on that one? The demo reel, that kind of stuff.
I agree with that.
Okay, so are there any, if you want, we'll take about a couple more minutes to see if anybody's got anything typed in. Let's see. Someone's asking about the age. I don't think you're the youngest person in here. I have no clue, but we do have older students, younger students. I mean, Siobhan, you basically, you started this 6 years after high school on here. Do you think age makes a difference on when it comes to doing this degree?
No, I think it definitely makes a difference if you do plan on going into social media because I feel a little bit outdated. I mean, I'm 26, so like it. I really don't think it matters. Like, I don't think age matters much at all. Again, social media is a different beast, but I would hope that nobody is taking this degree and is going to go and use it for social media. Like, oh my God, please don't do that.
Or at least use it as a power for good.
Yes.
Because
yes.
I'll be honest with you, I don't consider YouTube social media anymore. I consider YouTube to be another broadcast platform. So when we're talking about social media, we're talking like Instagram, TikTok, Reels, stories, all that stuff. Because I think that's where the biggest thing I look at, the takeaway on here, is YouTube is actually allowing people to kind of get away from some of that stuff on there. And I realized we didn't really talk about that. Let's see. With the resources you have now, have you thought about reshooting the past plays you did when you were younger?
Oh, that's
redoing
a
older
hard
stuff.
and fast no.
Why?
Because that needs to stay in the past. I was like 12.
No, you weren't. You were in high
No.
school.
Well, no, when I first well, yeah, the plays, but like the videos that I did when I was younger, absolutely not. Those need to stay in the past. Like that was unevolved me working with, I think I have the camera. Yeah, I was working with this camera, which is a Canon like G7X, and like you can't hardly edit any of the stuff like within the camera, and like it's just like kind of a vlogging. But that stuff needs to stay in the past. That's what brought me up to here, and then we're moving forward. There's no need to reminisce the past.
I call it kind of the Bill and Ted scenario, where at the end of the first Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, the great ones still sound like crap, and Rufus looks at the camera and goes, "Don't worry, they do get better." You know, and that's what you have to look at with some of your stuff. So I'm glad you said that. And that was Richard. Thank you for that question. That was really great. Andrea is asking, have you thought about using your social media to promote yourself and promote the things like the nature and everything you're passionate about? What is your view? What is your view on you using social media to promote yourself versus the clients?
I mean, absolutely. Like that's something that is part of kind of like I feel like it's like, oh, I have a 5-step plan. But like the things that are in the forefront of my attention currently are working on the demo reel. And then along with that is kind of rebranding myself, having my own YouTube channel. I already have my own Instagram for my work. And I believe my LinkedIn is geared towards that, but just kind of using that to get exposure for myself, but not use it to go viral, but just as something like people can follow and follow what I'm doing, and just kind of utilize that in somewhat of a business sense, not really using it for
So you're not looking to be trending. You're not looking to have eyeballs. No. You're not looking to have this. You're looking at it from the point of view of you can promote yourself to find clients, use it as a reel. So basically you're using all the social media as basically one giant demo reel for you as a cinematographer would be.
Yeah, it would just basically be a look a little bit further into like me, my work, what I'm doing and stuff like that. And people can reach out to me that way. I personally don't see a reason to try and like be viral or anything like that, because that's not what I'm geared towards. Like that's not my goal with this. That's not what I want to use my degree for and my knowledge or anything else. I would just use it to like, you know, for people to look into me a little bit further and just have like another layer of the onion.
So it is about 8:06. We did say 1 hour. I appreciate your time here. So what I'm going to do is I will take a couple questions off recording, but for the recording, Siobhan, do you have any last words of encouragement or anything you want to put the fear of anything in? Pick a deity and put the fear of them into them for what they should be doing before they graduate or right after graduation. Give some fear.
Well, definitely reach out to career development. Oh my gosh, please do that. I cannot stress that hard enough. And then I suppose if you're willing to put your values aside for the sake of experience and you're okay with that, just get whatever job. But if you want something that's going to be a little bit more long term, really kind of hone down what you would like to do, whether it's cinematography, producing, directing, video editing, and just kind of put your focus in that, whatever avenue you would like, rather than a jack of all trades that we're doing for 29 months, and just kind of hone it down. And I think that's one thing that wasn't super stressed to me when everybody's like, what would you like to do? I didn't think of it in the realm of directing, producing, cinematography, and video editing. I thought it in the realm of like, where would I like to be at? And like since graduation and everything else, I'm like, I would like video editing. Thank you. But yeah, I would basically just like reach out to career development, figure out what you want to do in one of those avenues, and figure out which one resonates with you and which one you're genuinely happy with. And then maybe just like research the job a little bit before you like accept the offer.
Right. Because again, there's bending your values and throwing away your values. If you are not comfortable with the company, don't do it. But don't have any preconceived notions, because you'd be amazed at how some people you might look at like a nonprofit and you think they're going to be one thing, and this nonprofit is nothing like you thought it was, and they need people. Nonprofits need people.
Heard nonprofits are really good to work for.
Huh?
I feel I've heard that nonprofits are like really good to work for.
Nonprofits are pretty good. We didn't get into that one, but nonprofits are pretty good to work for, because if you find one, this is me not going on a tangent. If you find one that you don't have to be the complete bang the drum for the nonprofit, but as long as they don't go against your values too much, or even if maybe or even if it's something to where it's like, never thought about this cause, nothing I'd really give anything into. They're looking for people. They need help, and they do have campaigns that pay for these things. So, side note on that one, maybe, Siobhan, I think maybe I need to talk about you working for nonprofits. Anyway, that one is off recording. All right, so I'd like to thank Siobhan for being here. I'm going to be stopping the recording for now, so that a couple people who have privately asked if they can ask questions off archive. And also there was a question about National Geographic. I will go ahead and I will let Siobhan answer that off archive, because I do need to end and basically tell people ta-ta. So on behalf of myself and valedictorian of the May graduating class, Siobhan Ingram, who is not employed by Career Development, thank you very much for being here, and good night.